I didn't plan to think about her again. Not that morning. Not after all these years. It started with a voicemail. I was already late for work, standing in my tiny kitchen, the kettle screaming like it always did, when my phone vibrated on the counter. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Spam calls had become a personality trait of modern life. But something in my chest tightened before I could explain why. I listened to it 3 times. "Ethan, it's me. I don't know if you'll even want to hear my voice. I need to talk. Please. Just once." Her voice was older, softer, but unmistakably Hannah. The kettle clicked off. Silence filled the flat. I leaned against the counter, suddenly 22 again, standing in a glass office building where everything changed. Back then, Hannah and I worked on the same floor of a marketing firm. Me, a junior analyst desperate to prove myself. Her, the project coordinator everyone relied on but never truly saw. She had this habit of tapping her pen when she was thinking, like the world might move faster if she nudged it along. We weren't supposed to become us. Office romances were frowned upon, and we both knew the rules. But rules feel theoretical when someone starts staying late with you. When conversations stretch beyond deadlines into childhood memories and quiet confessions. One night, after everyone else had gone, she looked at me across the conference table and said, "Do you ever feel like you're living the wrong version of your life?" I laughed because it sounded dramatic, but she didn't smile back. "I think about it all the time," I admitted. That was the moment. The exact frame where the music would swell if this were a film. We didn't touch. We didn't need to. What complicated things was Mark? Mark was my older brother, by 4 years, by experience, by confidence. He worked in the same company, higher up the ladder, polished and charming in a way I'd never mastered. People listened when Mark spoke. Managers trusted him instinctively. And Hannah, she had history with him. Not romantic. At least that's what she told me, but long. They'd joined the firm the same year, survived the same layoffs, celebrated promotions together. Their closeness made sense on paper. But on paper, love always looks tidy. I remember the first time I saw them laugh together in the break room. Something sharp twisted in my stomach. I hated myself for feeling it. Hannah noticed. Later that day, she cornered me near the elevators. "You're quiet today. Just tired." She studied me the way she always did, like she was reading the margins of a book. "You don't have to compete with him, you know." "I'm not," I said too quickly. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Things escalated the night of the client gala. Black suits, soft lights, music that made everything feel temporary. Hannah looked unreal, not glamorous in a loud way, elegant, restrained, like she belonged to another era. We drank. We laughed. We stood too close. At some point, Mark joined us, hand resting casually on Hannah's back. I told myself it meant nothing. People touched when they were comfortable. People touched when they didn't realize someone else was watching. Later, outside the venue, rain slicking the pavement, Hannah pulled me aside. "This isn't a game to me," she said quietly. "Then what is it?" She hesitated. "Complicated. That word. It's always the beginning of the end." 2 weeks later, the announcement came. Hannah was being transferred to another branch, another city. Promotion. Opportunity. The kind you're supposed to celebrate. Mark hugged her first. I stood there, clapping, feeling like someone had pressed pause on my life while everyone else kept moving. That night, she came to my flat. We didn't turn on the lights. She sat on the edge of my bed, hands folded, breathing like she'd run the whole way. "I didn't tell you because I didn't know how," she said. "About the transfer?" "About everything." She finally looked at me then, eyes glossy, exhausted. "I care about you, Ethan. More than I should. But Mark, he makes sense on paper. He fits my family, my future. You feel like risk." The word hurt more than I expected. "So I'm the part you give up," I said. She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away. That was my mistake. "I'm choosing stability," she whispered. I nodded, like I understood, like my chest wasn't caving in. When she left, I didn't follow her. Pride can be louder than love when it wants to be. Life moved on. That's what people say. But really, life just piles new moments on top of old ones and hopes you don't dig too deep. Mark and Hannah got engaged. I sent a polite message. Didn't attend the party. I switched departments. Buried myself in work. Dated women who were kind, intelligent, wrong. None of them stayed. And then, years later, that voicemail found me. I stared at my phone for a long time before calling her back. She answered on the first ring. "Ethan," she said, like my name was something fragile. "What do you want, Hannah?" There was a pause, a breath. "I'm not calling to reopen old wounds. I think I made a mistake." The room felt smaller. "People always do," I said. "Usually too late." Her voice broke. "I'm coming back to Manchester." That was when I knew whatever story I thought had ended was only holding its breath. Hannah came back in early autumn, when Manchester smelled like wet pavement and old memories. I knew the day she arrived without her telling me. My brother called. "She's back," Mark said, voice tight, professional. "Thought you should hear it from me." I didn't ask why. I didn't ask how long. Some questions answer themselves by the way silence behaves around them. They were separated, not divorced, not yet, but fractured in that quiet, adult way where no one screams and everything still breaks. "She's staying near Deansgate," he added. "We're figuring things out." After the call ended, I sat on my sofa for a long time, staring at nothing. I should have felt victorious. Instead, guilt crept in like fog. Loving someone who once chose your brother is not a clean emotion. It has corners that cut you when you're not looking. She texted that night. "Can we talk?" Somewhere neutral. No history. We met at a small cafe by the canal, the kind with exposed brick and plants trying their best to stay alive. She looked different. Not worse. Just weathered by choices. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she smiled, the same half-smile that used to undo me. "You grew up," she said. "So did you." She nodded. "Too late." We talked like people walking on glass. About work. About the city. About nothing important. Finally, she leaned forward. "I didn't come back for him," she said. "I came back because I couldn't breathe where I was." I stirred my coffee even though I wasn't drinking it. And where do I fit into that? Her eyes filled. "That's what scares me." The weeks that followed felt unreal, like scenes stitched together without my consent. Hannah and I began working in the same building again, different teams, same gravity. We passed each other in hallways, shared looks that said too much. Nothing physical happened. That restraint made everything heavier. Mark noticed. One night, he showed up at my flat unannounced. He looked tired in a way I'd never seen growing up, the confident older brother stripped of certainty. "Are you seeing her?" he asked. "No," I said honestly. "Do you want to?" I hesitated. That was answer enough. He exhaled sharply. "I always knew this was there." "That's not fair," I said. "You chose each other." "And she's choosing to leave," he shot back. "Maybe she always was." The argument didn't explode. It collapsed inward. Family conflict isn't loud. It's devastatingly quiet. He left without saying goodbye. That night, Hannah called me. "I told him the truth," she said. "About you. About us." "There was no us," I replied, harsher than I meant to. She went silent. There could have been. Everything came to a head at the company retreat. 3 days. 1 hotel. Too many unresolved emotions. On the second night, after drinks and forced laughter, Hannah knocked on my door. I didn't ask why she was there. I already knew. She stood close, not touching. "I'm not asking you to save me," she said. "I just need to know, was I wrong?" I searched her face for the woman I loved and the woman who hurt me. They were both there. "Yes," I said finally. "But so was I." Her breath hitched. "If I could turn back time." I stopped her gently. "Don't." But she finished anyway, voice barely above a whisper. "If I could turn back time, I'd choose you." The words landed softly. And still, they shattered something. I wanted to pull her into me. I wanted to believe love could be resurrected without consequence. But reality doesn't cut scenes for romance. "I can't be your second draft," I said quietly. "And I can't be the reason my brother loses everything." Tears slipped down her cheeks. She nodded, accepting it in the way people do when they've already lost. She left. I didn't follow. Months passed. Mark moved out of the city. Hannah transferred again, this time by choice, not escape. We spoke once more before she left. "I'm glad it was you," she said, "even if it wasn't us." "So am I replied. And I meant it. Here's what no one tells you about love. Timing isn't cruel, it's honest. People don't break your heart because they're evil. They break it because they're scared or confused or choosing safety over truth. And sometimes you let them, because loving someone doesn't mean abandoning yourself. I used to believe that if love was real enough, it would wait. Now I know something harder and truer. Love doesn't wait. It arrives when it's ready. And if you're not brave enough to meet it, It doesn't owe you a second chance. But even the love you don't get to keep can shape you. It can teach you what you deserve. It can show you who you are when no one is choosing you back. And sometimes, that lesson is the greatest gift of all. Because I didn't lose Hannah, I found myself.